Hi guys, welcome to Unit 9, our last unit. You're so close, so close. All right, Unit 9, Lesson 2, Statistics Basics. Say that 10 times fast. Statistics is a type of math that deals with the collection and analysis of data, so not only collecting it, but then figuring out what does all of this data mean. Data is a set of information collected from a survey, experiment, record, or other sources. And then population is a group of people or objects being studied. And a sample is a small section of a statistical population. So think about the United States, right? The United States is a very large country. It would be impossible to ask every single person a question in a study, right? But so if we take a sample of the United States or people that represent the United States, then we can kind of figure out, okay, based on this information, we can assume that this represents the whole country on a bigger scale. Okay, so that's kind of what that's getting at. So let's get into some examples. The first example that we're going to talk about is number 1 from your practice. The City Council wants to know if its 56,000 residents favor the construction of the new athletic facility. 600 residents were surveyed and 350 responded favorably, while 250 responded opposed to the construction. Identify the population and the sample. So, this is just based off a definition. The population is the 56,000 residents, right? Again, it would be really hard to ask every single resident how they feel. Okay, so that's the population. The sample is the 600 residents that were surveyed. Okay, that's our sample. So those would be your 2 answers for this question. Now they did tell you how the people surveyed responded, right? 350 were for it, 250 were not. That's just the breakdown of how the people that were sampled responded, but it's not necessary for this answer. Number 2 is number 4 on your practice. Kendra wants to know the average height of first-year high school students in her town. She randomly picked 25 males and 25 female students from each of the 10 high schools in her town. From the data she collected, she concluded that the average height of first-year high school students in her town is 5 feet 7 inches. How many students in total were in her sample? Okay, so we know a couple things. One, we don't know how many first-year students are in all of the high schools, right? We don't know what the population is, but we do know what her sample was. It says she randomly picked 25 male and 25 female students from each of the 10 high schools, right? So 25 plus 25 is 50, right? 25 plus 25 equals 50 from each high school. Well, there's 10 high schools, so times 10 high schools, 50 times 10 is 500. So that's the size of her sample, okay? She surveyed 500 students to get her data, okay? Number 3 is number 1 on your quick check. You want to estimate the number of students who bring their lunch to school every day. Which of the following is the best sample for this situation? Okay, so let's see here. For this one, 50 female students selected at random. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I think I wrote the problem wrong. Give me 1 second. Let me get to it. I think I wrote it wrong. That would not be good, would it? Let me go find it. You can pause the video for a second or fast forward in a second. Let's see here. What did I say? This is number 1 on the quick check. Oh, which of the following is the best sample? Oh, okay. I'm mixing it up with another problem. I did write it correctly. Phew! Okay, let me read it again. Sorry about that. You want to estimate the number of students who bring their lunch to school every day. Which of the following is the best sample for this situation? So let's pay attention to what the actual question is. We want to estimate the number of students who bring their lunch. Okay? Number of students. So we're talking the whole population. So we're trying to get an idea of the whole population, not specific groups. Okay? So that's the way we need to think about this. If we go for specific groups, like this first one, 50 female students selected at random. Well, that only covers females. That leaves all of the males out of the situation. That doesn't make sense, right? This would be biased. It would be biased because it's only females. Okay? All members of the math club. Well, that would be a very good representation of the math club, but it's not going to be a representation of the entire school. We don't even know if the math club eats in the cafeteria, right? We have no idea. 45 first-year students selected at random. Again, it's too specific. It's not going to cover the entire student body. It's only covering, like, freshmen, if it's a high school, right? All right, or in middle school, that'd be like 6th graders. So that one wouldn't work. This last one, 80 students selected at random during lunch. Look at that. Probably in the cafeteria, right? So that would be the perfect place to study lunch, who brings their lunch, right? When they're eating. And then if they're selected at random, right? You don't care if they're male. You don't care if they're female. You don't care if they're in the math club. You don't care if they're a football player, right? It doesn't matter. They're selected at random, so that would give you the best sample for to represent the entire school. Okay? All right. Sorry about my little blip in there, but otherwise, if you need extra support, just let me know. Have a great day.